Thank you for joining me for the Three Broke Guys handicapping recap for Belmont Day on July 9th, 2016. The Belmont Derby was the first leg of the Pick Four, and it was won by the 13 Deauville, ridden by Jamie Spencer, who has to get credit for a fantastic trip. Sat right off the speed, pounced around the far turn, and pretty much held everybody at bay. Recapping and re-examining the past performances showed that this horse had run very well on firm tracks. The rain that was supposed to have materialized did not, or did not affect the card at Belmont today. So this horse actually seems like a logical play at 6-1, considering he sat a really nice trip and got a really nice ride from Jamie Spencer at post 13. And he also gets the benefit of first-time Lasix coming across the pond. And he was trained, obviously, by a master horseman in Aidan O'Brien. So a 6-1 start to the late Pick Four with Deauville, who could have been had. We did not choose him. We ended up the second, third, and fourth place finishers in our Pick Four if we had played it. So unfortunately, we did not have the winner, but kudos to the connections. Aidan O'Brien and Jamie Spencer did a fantastic job getting this horse ready and winning from that difficult outside post. Suburban Handicap was another race we got wrong. Ray and I were both off of FNX, and he ran a very creditable race. And I'm guessing that the scratch of Noble Bird affected the way the race ran. Samrat probably would have been in FNX's position, and FNX probably would have been sitting outside of Samrat early on. They set a pretty slow pace for that distance, but FNX was up to the challenge, and I got to give credit to Samrat. He ran a fantastic race. He was too good to lose. Rick Violet and Jose Ortiz deserve credit. And to be honest, he would probably be a bet back depending on where he shows up next. I'm going to guess it'll be in a handicap race up at Saratoga in about 4 to 5 weeks from now. I'm not sure exactly of the schedule, but Samrat would be difficult to beat. He did not run at Saratoga last year, so we don't really know if he will or will not like the surface. Saratoga is a horse for course track in a lot of instances. But again, Samrat ran so well. He ran too good to lose, and he should be a bet back next time. And I'm sure you're not going to get nearly the price that you got today on him. And if you had him at least underneath FNX, good for you. And it actually shows the strength of the New York breeding program. It's gotten a lot better over the last few years since Funny Side won the Derby. I guess that was 2003. So it was quite a few years ago, but the New York State breeding program's gotten better with the New York breds FNX and Samrat running 1-2. My top pick, Shaman Ghost, had a chance going into the far turn, but just could not quicken. Ray's top choice Eagle did not close any ground. I guess maybe the pace had something to do with it. As Samrat and FNX ran 1-2 around the track, Muktahij rallied a little bit down on the inside to get third. But the top two really were the best two on this day, and it shows you how dangerous speed can be at 10 furlongs on the dirt, especially when there's really not much else of a pace in that race. Moving on to race 10, which was the Belmont Oaks, and I think it's time for me personally to say that I don't think I'm going to doubt Catch a Glimpse ever again until she proves to me that she's not worthy. She's every bit the horse that, well, maybe that's a little bit of a reach, but she's awfully tough. Tepin is the queen of the Marcassi barn at the moment, and apparently, from what I've seen on Twitter, they call Catch a Glimpse Little Tepin, and considering she's now 8 for 8 on turf, basically most of the time on the lead, so she avoids trouble. She doesn't really get rattled. She can go 10 furlongs. She can go a mile. She can beat the boys. She can win grade ones. I don't know that there's any reason to doubt her going forward unless something obvious like an injury, God forbid, or an an illness or a fever might affect her status over the next little while. Obviously, she'll be really tough in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf if that's where they choose to run her. The Europeans will obviously have a say in that, depending on what Cassie decides to do with Tepin. Tepin, I would guess, would be more like the miler, and Catch a Glimpse might go a little bit longer on the grass, maybe the mile, and I guess at Santa Anita it might be a mile and a half. Or actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the Filly and Mare Turf will probably be a mile and a quarter at Santa Anita. I think a mile and 3/8 is not the best distance because it would start halfway up the hill on the hillside turf course. I believe a mile and a quarter would be the optimal distance for the Filly and Mare Turf at Santa Anita down the road in November. Let's just hope she gets there and is in good health and good spirits. Florence Giroux did a great job. Mark Cassie obviously deserves a lot of credit. So I don't think I ever need to doubt her anymore. Time and Motion ran a creditable second. Excuse me. But I'm not sure she was ever going to get to Catch a Glimpse. I think Catch a Glimpse probably had a little bit more in the tank. I would need to see the gallop out to prove that, but I would doubt that she would have gotten by. She's getting closer, considering she ran about a length and a quarter behind Catch a Glimpse in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf last year, and she finished within a half length this time. But it was her home track, and Catch a Glimpse basically has been running pretty much anywhere they need her to run. So she had all the Time and Motion, had all the advantages today, and still couldn't beat her. Longer distance, her home track, her home jockey, but she still couldn't get by. So until Catch a Glimpse proves to be something other than what she's proven so far, which is fantastic, I think I need to stop doubting her. Heck, she's 8 for 8, and she went off at 3-1 today. Ballydoyle did not run a step. She went off at Catch a Glimpse went off at second choice at 3-1 and paid almost 7-2, paid $880. So that would have been a fantastic return if you knew she was going to get the mile and a quarter distance. And in the finale, the Belmont Sprint Championship, AP Indian was, at least to us, a surprise winner. He was normally up close to the pace. Apparently, there were people who thought that she had run races last summer, maybe at Monmouth or at Parks, that fit here. She ran in those same races earlier this year and had gotten much better speed figures, but she was not in Private Zone's league as far as speed figures go. And the one sad thing about today was the way Private Zone kind of disappeared, top of the lane. I know we weren't necessarily trying to beat him. I'm sorry. I'm not sure he's the same horse, being that he's not in the Navarro barn anymore, and now that he's in the Brian Lynch camp. I'm not saying that Brian Lynch can't train horses. I just don't think this horse is the same horse. He would have even got a softer pace. He did get a pretty soft pace, and he pretty much folded. And AP Indian rallied up the inside and held off marking and paid a nice price. And this pick 4 ended up paying a little over $1,000 for the 50-cent minimum. And I think of the horses that ran, AP Indian's still the most hard to find. FNX could have been found, obviously, if we thought he would rebound from his bad Stephen Foster effort. And Deauville could have been found if he had just thrown out most of his soft turf races. He was also coming third off a layoff, and he was obviously trained and ridden very well today. So AP Indian was the hardest one to find for me specifically. I thought he would be part of the speed brigade. He was actually able to rate pretty well and had some closing punch for the end. And like I said, was able to hold off marking at the end of that 7 furlong test. So you'll probably see him again. I'm not exactly sure where. Arnaud Delacour, and I give him credit. He's been tearing it up at Delaware, and maybe you'll see this horse at Delaware down the line, or maybe you'll see him somewhere in the Amsterdam or in some of the sprint races up at Saratoga. Hopefully, if all things stay the same, he's 8 for 14 lifetime now, 12 of 14 in the exacta. So you've got to give him the horse and all the connections, all the credit in the world. So he's a force to be reckoned with until Run Happy comes back. Maybe we'll see in some kind of 7 furlong race. Maybe we'll see Lord Nelson, who did very well out on the West Coast. But I would expect he'll run again in the Pat O'Brien at Del Mar. And it's possible that maybe Lord Nelson, I know Bob Baffert is not necessarily keen on Del Mar right now, so he might actually ship this horse to his horse, Lord Nelson, to possibly have a run against AP Indian. And we still don't know the status of Run Happy. And until he makes a reappearance, or at least shows everybody that he's possibly ready for a race, I'm not sure what to make of him at the moment. Classy, can he run? Absolutely. Just don't know exactly where or when he's going to show up. Heck, he may try to pull something like Artemis Agroterra, where he has a year layoff and he tries to repeat in the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. Obviously, winning the Malibu, he was very dominant in the race after the Breeders' Cup. So he likes the Santa Anita surface. He likes 7 furlongs. Maybe we'll see a Lord Nelson Run Happy matchup at the Breeders' Cup. And maybe also possibly AP Indian will be part of that mix. Again, very disappointed in the effort of Private Zone. Kind of called it. He's a warrior, and I wish better things for him. And maybe if we're lucky, they'll switch him back to the Navarro barn. Or if for whatever reason they decide to give him his, I don't want to say walking papers, but retire him to live on the farm and to breed going down the line. Whatever they choose to do with him, I hope he is happy, and I hope ultimately they do something different with him, because obviously what they're doing now is not working. So again, that pick 4 paid a little over $1,000 for the 50-cent base wager, and we could have probably been alive. I don't think we would have come up with AP Indian. So to be honest, not the greatest day in the history of the Three Broke Guys, but it's always fun doing the show and handicapping for you all. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them on YouTube or find us at Three Broke Guys on Twitter. It's also, you can reach me personally at my Twitter handle, which is Joe English 16. And that'll do it for the Recap show. Hopefully we will see you next week. And hopefully we'll have the full complement of Broke Guys. Hopefully Mr. Sharp and Mr. Tirado will join us for another rousing rendition of the Three Broke Guys Handicapping Show. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your week of racing. Hopefully you have some winners on Sunday. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night, everyone.